Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for waiting. Welcome to the VHQC Community Care Transitions webinar. Please note that all lines have been placed on listen-only mode, and the floor will be open for your questions and comments following the presentation. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to turn the floor over to your host, Ms. Carla Thomas. Ms. Thomas, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Laura, and welcome, everybody. This is our first webinar in a series to connect Care Transitions community members across our region. Before we get started, I just have a few housekeeping items. As you know, the phones have been placed on mute, but we'd also encourage you to do that as well. When we open up the lines, we'd like to encourage you to avoid placing your line on hold. We really want to encourage you to focus on sharing over the next 30 minutes, as this has really been designed as sort of a lunch and learn session. You're encouraged to actively participate during this session. So the chat box to the right of your screen is one way of being part of the activity. If you cannot find the chat section to the right of your slides, and you have the screen full, you can find the tab at the top of your screen. So just click that to activate the icons. We initiated this series of webinars this year because many of those we work with are really interested in knowing, what others are doing in care transitions across the region. So we've really designed these sessions to be shorter in length and more concentrated on a specific topic related to coalition work. We will feature a tool or a process that can help you and your local partners with making a difference for those you serve. And we will also feature at least one Care Transitions coalition in our project. These sessions are also really a time to share what you are doing related to the featured topic. So we hope you will share via chat or through our question and answer session at the end or through our online community. The series is open to anyone working in a coalition, and we are currently supporting 9 coalitions in our Care Transitions project at VHQC, and we are looking for more coalitions to join us this year. One of the most challenging coalition activities is engagement, and today's topic focuses on how to engage members in coalition meetings. It takes efforts of many people to help a coalition keep its momentum, and successful meetings are those that really involve numerous people every step of the way. The old saying goes like this: people support what they help to create. And if people are actively involved in the process and contribute, a greater sense of ownership will occur. Now, while this sounds simple enough, very often activities fall on one or maybe 2 people, and that is really not a coalition. There are many moving parts to successful coalition meetings: scheduling, agenda development, presentations, discussions, sharing, and even action activities. And while it helps to start with identifying what needs to occur in a group and who's doing what, I'd like to propose a shift in your thinking, just to set the stage for today's sharing. Successful coalition work is really about encouraging members to become stronger leaders of change. It's engaging members is really all about identifying resources and talents of the membership at large. And think about who has skills that could really lend to your coalition growing. Who has skills for being very organized? Who likes to type on the computer? Who likes to synthesize information and make it clear for everybody to understand? Who likes to write on flip charts? Who's great at posting information to a website? Who has great connections in the community and can rally everybody to action? Who can make copies and share information? Who has space for meetings? And in some cases, other members or organizations might just have some extra money. Today we are featuring the Central Virginia Transitions Collaborative, or CVTC. They were the first coalition to sign on to our Care Transitions Project in Virginia. Two leaders of this coalition have volunteered to share some ways that they have increased involvement of their members. They have consistently had high meeting attendance and volunteerism, and they have grown to 31 chartered organizations. The CVTC focuses on the Charlottesville and Culpeper areas, along with most of Albemarle, Nelson, Fluvanna, Greene, Louisa counties. So at this time, I'd like to turn the call over to Marta Keene and Karen Fassel. Marta Keene is the Chief Executive Officer of JABA, the Jefferson Area Board for Aging, and Karen Fassel is the Manager of Care Coordination at Sentara Martha Jefferson Hospital. The first presenter will be Marta. Marta, take it away.
Thank you, Carla. I wanted to give all of you a background before we got into what has been helpful in terms of getting engagement. And I think the engagement started right from the beginning when the chief nurse officers for both of our area hospitals, that being Sentara Martha Jefferson and the UVA Health System, and JABA came together to consider the challenges of the transitions of care and its impact on the community. I think that it was very important that both hospitals participate. It gave a very strong sense of collaboration from the very beginning. And it was important that it was the top level of leadership of each hospital that was committed to this. And so I think just getting that as a beginning point allowed the invitation to the community partners to be taken very seriously. And so we began by inviting all of the skilled nursing facilities, assisted living, home health, and hospice to participate. And we've never actually closed the door to anybody, but that was the group that the invitations went out to. I think the most important things that really did increase our engagement for action was having leadership and decision makers at the meetings. As ideas came up, there were people sitting there who were able to say, yes, we're going to try that, or we'll report back on how that goes. And so that was very important, that this be people who felt empowered to begin to take action. I think there was also a real sense of shared purpose and open communication. People came to these meetings being willing to share their stories and examples of what has worked for them and how collaboration with the hospital or with other partners, and also what are the challenges. And I was really struck when about 6 months in, one of the skilled nursing facility administrators actually commented on the fact that it was wonderful to see that nobody was in competition and that everybody was focused on how to make this a better experience for our patients as well as for the community as a whole. And I think that underlying attitude of collaboration has kept everybody very engaged because they didn't feel like they were having to one-up one another, but rather we could share best practices. I also think we had a lot of sharing of what is broken in the chain of patient transitions, and that has led to working on community solutions. We had work groups and continue to have them that actually are taking the different key areas and trying to work out very specific hands-on solutions, not theoretical but actual, and then different facilities are taking those and trying them out. Then to get to a more basic level, one of the things that we found really helped was to pick a consistent time and place and get it on everybody's Outlook calendar. Initially, we tried to move around and have different people showcase their facilities, but actually that was more confusing than just having one meeting room where we all knew we were going to gather every month. It was also important that one of the 3 founding agencies have some administrative support to help with sending out materials and getting agendas pulled together and keeping the mailing list going. And as Carla's already referenced, from the very beginning, we have sought participation, with having people facilitate, help to set the agenda, do the minutes, bring the snacks. And I know Karen's going to talk about this in more detail. I would leave you with one last thought, that it was really key to plan activities that are meaningful so that everyone felt like their time was well spent. And that became self-fulfilling, because I think as we see that the 2 hours that we give up for that coalition is leading to change, then we're very motivated to continue to stay engaged. And all the participants have been encouraged to continue to invite others to the coalition so that it continues to strengthen as people hear about what we're doing and want to be a part of it. So with that in mind, I will ask Karen if she wants to pick up from there and talk about some of the other areas.
Hi, I'd be happy to. I have to say, I came into the whole process a little bit late. I was not the original manager of the department when we started, and my introduction to it was we get together and we talk about stuff, and we get into little groups and we share our thoughts about various different things, and it was not well presented to me, so I was a little bit skeptical about the process. As I attended the meetings and really learned what was going on, I got excited and got on board and realized just how effective the CVTC was in the area, an opportunity to meet once a month with all of our providers and facilities and network and say, here's a problem, we share it, let's fix it. My challenge has been coordinating the agenda for the meetings every month, and for the people who never met me before, they may not realize that I am not an organized person. Perfect example of this is what happened last month. We try to put out a sign-up sheet so that as the meeting progresses, the sheet circulates around the room, and people sign up. And they say, I'll do the snacks, I'll do the emceeing, I'll do the presentation for a problem that the patient story or patient challenge. I'll do the partner spotlight or a community posting or what have you. And because Carla has been stepping away from us a little bit, I was a little less organized, and we didn't put the sign-up sheet out. And then everybody left, and it's like, uh-oh, we don't have any planned agenda for the April meeting. And a few days passed, and I got a phone call from Chris Shaw at Envoy at the Meadows saying, hey, Karen, I don't remember having seen a sign-up sheet. Do you need somebody to take notes next month? And a few days after that, I got another phone call and another phone call, and it's like, wow, this is just working itself out. And that is representative of how collaborative this coalition has become. Not only do we help each other out with the bigger issues of patient care transition, but we help each other out with the little issues of planning the monthly agenda. So within 2 weeks, without a sign-up sheet to guide us, we have a scribe, we have snacks, we have a patient story, we have a partner spotlight, and the agenda formed itself. Nice to have the sign-up sheet to keep track of what's going on, but every meeting takes care of itself, and we have plenty to talk about, and then we have the work groups for action and ongoing issues, talking about how we transition patients from the acute care to the post-acute, how we transition patients from post-acute back into the hospital. What are the barriers transitioning patients to the next appropriate level of care, and how can we lower those barriers to make the transition smoother. And these are problems that we're working on in Central Virginia, but because I work in both vertical and horizontal silos, I can tell you that what we're working on here in Central Virginia, they're working on in Hampton Roads as well. And so what I learn at the CVTC, I can take to my next corporate meeting and say, here's what we're working on and here's what's working, and take it down there and share because it's relevant across the entire state.
Thank you so much, Karen.
You are welcome. I was going to say I don't have anything else to add, but without a PowerPoint to click on to say any questions.
Well, we will do that for you. And thank you both to Marta and Karen for volunteering. I need to let the audience know that as I sent out an email asking if they might be interested, both of them replied probably within 5 minutes. So I appreciate your enthusiasm to spread your experience and successes with others across the region.
And I hesitated.
Pardon me?
I said, and I hesitated.
Well, I didn't know that because your email came back pretty quickly. So thank you again. What you've seen on the slides here today, those in the audience, are just two tools. One was a sign-up form that Karen had mentioned. We helped develop this to engage more people. This is passed around until the list is full initially, and then, like Karen mentioned, it became something that people anticipated and drove themselves. So that's really, ideal that that kind of structure and those kinds of roles are shared. The sample agenda is also something that we have shared here. And this coalition has a consistent format that they use. It typically looks like this, and they have work groups that split out in the middle of the meeting to have smaller conversations and record out activities. Your meeting meets monthly for 2 hours.
That's correct. And I should point out too, Carla, that some of our subgroups have gone the extra step and meet independently between meetings to work further on some of the problems that we've isolated during our monthly meetings.
Yes, I think that is kind of an ideal activity that can occur as a result of coalition meetings that extra conversations and action occur in between. So thanks for pointing that out. At this point in time, to make the most of our time, we'd like to encourage those of you who are connected by webinar to type in any questions you might have on chat. We also ask our conference operator, Laura, to open up the lines in case people might have any questions. Laura, can you let people know how to ask a question?
Certainly. The line is open for questions. If you do have a question, please press the number 7 or the letter Q on your telephone keypad. If your question has at any point been answered, you may press 7 or Q again to disable your request. Please hold while we wait for the first question.
Thank you, Laura. It looks like we do have a couple of questions in chat. Karen and Marta, there was a question asking if visitors are welcome to attend your meeting.
I can take that. And we always welcome visitors. We have brought in, for example, medical transport was brought into one of our meetings to discuss a particular transportation problem. Outside facilities that are interested in either joining the coalition or if they're outside of our area and are interested in starting their own coalition are welcome to come and see what we're doing so that they can have their own little startup group.
This is Marta. Let me just add, we are delighted to have people join us because I think the more people in the community, the stronger our coalition. What we do ask is after they get a sense of what we are doing that day, if they want to continue to participate, we do want them to become a member because part of that is agreeing to hold confidential the information that we share about the outcomes and the readmissions and a lot of that data, so that is part of what I think has allowed the partners to feel comfortable being open and honest about the communications and the discussions that we've had.
Thank you. Looks like we also have a question asking about whether or not people can have a copy of the forms that were highlighted today, and the answer is yes. We have posted those forms on our VHQC online community. As you see here on this slide, we have posted it to the forum, and if you would like to be a member of that community, we have the address on one of the slides coming up. There should also have been a link to that community page on your confirmation and invitation to this webinar. Are there any questions online, Laura? I mean, on the conference line, Laura?
Again, if you do have a question, please press the number 7 or the letter Q on your telephone keypad.
And if anybody has any other successful tips for how to engage community members, they're certainly more than welcome to post them. On the online community, in the forum section, we have shared these two tools and encourage people to also post comments and sharing there. So we're hoping that we will not only connect communities through the phone conference, but also this webinar as well as on the online community. We'd also like to remind you that our next call in the series will be on June 14th, where we will talk about coalition structure, how to organize those involved for more action and activity. And this is our contact information. If anyone should have any questions or would like to follow up with us after. We also want to note that there are evaluation questions for this webinar today that we'd like to ask you to complete so that we can continue to improve these sessions for everyone involved. Are there any questions, Laura, that have come through just with the few minutes we have left?
Ms. Thomas, it appears there are no questions at this time.
Okay, great. Before we leave, Marta and Karen, any parting comments?
None from me, thank you.
Thank you.
I would just say that it's been wonderful to have Carla's support, and it's been wonderful to watch us grow from that to being a more self-empowered team and recognizing that we can continue to move forward. But I think the structure that we initially had from Carla really helped us to figure out what would help us grow in Central Virginia.
Well, thank you very much, Marta. It's been my pleasure as a VHQC consultant, along with Cindy Warner, a pharmacist consultant, to support your coalition. We sincerely enjoy the work we do supporting the growth of coalitions to become more sustainable and independent in our work. Thank you so much for volunteering to share the experience of the Central Virginia Transitions Collaborative today. It looks like we have one more question with a couple more minutes left. It looks like, what type of agenda items do you cover? Are these specific patient experiences?
Generally, at the beginning, we have 2 agenda items that have been pretty consistent, and one is a member spotlight so that they can talk about their facility and what might be the highlights that they have that might be different. And then the other is actually a transition story. And so it will be a patient-specific story of, and generally with two different facilities talking about that transition, but sometimes it is one. And so those are standing items on our agenda at the beginning. Our work sessions tend to be more process specific. So it might be around how to improve the communication in the transition from hospital to skilled nursing. And that tends not to be as patient specific. So the beginning is more patient specific, and then the second part is more process oriented.
Thank you, Marta. I will say that the partner spotlight presentations initially were very sales and marketing oriented, and they quickly became more focused on what people are doing to improve care transition. So I think that the evolution of the group and the conversation and the work of the group helped to shift that focus. And with that in mind, I think more people are sharing some things that have been successful or bringing forth opportunities that they are noticing with the group. So thank you again. Well, with that, it is at the top of the hour, and I would like to thank everybody for attending today, and we look forward to your participation on our next call, and have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much.